Welcome to another one of our reviews. I'm the Worm, this is the Proton. Today we're doing a review on a little clone that Mr. Proton brought. We both tried and both rewicked and had a little play with, and it is a Baron clone called the juk23.
The Juk.
Was it JUC?
No, it's J. Oh, sorry guys. No, it's JUK.
JUK
23. It's a blatant clone of an eBaron Pro. It is £4.40 from fasttexnow.slash.
Fasttexnow.slash.
It's £4.40. Similar kind of setup, ceramic cup and all that kind of what's it. Ali and chromed it brass as opposed to stainless steel, obviously. But it is what it is. We looked at it and we said that's definitely a Baron clone. Then it arrived and it actually came in a box that said eBaron on it. So to be honest, we thought for £4 we might as well have a punt, just because some of these little clones could turn out to be absolutely amazing. So thought, why not? We'll have a go.
I mean, if you can get close, even get close to a Baron Vapor on this little £4 device, well, let's be put it in context. You can get 10 of them for the price of one Baron.
Indeed.
So
it is what it is. It comes pre-wicked with a 1.7 in it. We did try that briefly for about 5 minutes. Kind of an we'll rewick it ourselves.
It was nichrome, wasn't it? That's why we didn't like it. We don't like nichrome, and it was definitely nichrome in there.
To be honest, it's hard to gauge whether a device is any good until you put your own coil in. So I'm not being funny, we both tried the Zeus and the A7 with their coils in to start with. Yeah, they're not bad. It's not until we went, let's put our own one in and went, wow, that's amazing. So it is what it is. We're going to do a rewick for you and everything. By the way, I mean Worm. Yeah. Worm's doing this one because there is other stuff to do and I'm going to do some of that.
Things are bound to go wrong.
Yes, over for shizzle. So I think what we're going to do, we're going to jump straight into the rewick, get that out of the way with first, then we'll prime it, have a little vape and God knows what else, and have a flap. So yeah, we'll go down to that now, and let's all laugh at the Worm for a change. Yeah.
Alright guys, this is the up close of the juk23, which is obviously the eBaron clone. We just thought you'd quickly show you the eBaron in respective size.
Get there in the end.
Sorry guys, I have not long been up, but this is the Baron obviously, and this is the JUK, and it is a little bit bigger, and it's a little bit wider, but what really shows the difference is the terms of ceramic. This is obviously the Baron cup, and this is the JUK. It's huge in comparison, so hopefully it would hold a little bit more juice in there.
And wick.
So, but
should point out, I don't know if you'll be able to make it out on camera, but the ceramic we've got in it is a little bit broken.
Oh yeah.
The light is a bit. I don't know if you see the inside, but also on the bottom as well. I believe the.
Yeah, you can't see that.
You can. There you go.
Oh, you can see that
just
one.
A little chip away on the ceramic.
It's the same on the inside there. The center. Oh, there you can see it. Just there.
See it there. So, just something to be aware of. That's how it came. So, weren't expecting miracles, to be honest with you. We did rewick it with Worm's ceramic from the eBaron though, and that worked absolutely fine. So,
but in retrospective, this is a £40 dripper. This is a £4.40 dripper.
It's a tenth of the price. It's 19mm from the base, guys, and it's 49.5mm long. Just thought I'd throw that in there.
But the rewick is exactly the same. The only difference is on this one you haven't got a little O-ring in there to insulate it for whatever reason, but it just hasn't got it. But you do on the Baron. That is the only difference I can really tell, except for the size of everything. This is just bigger in every way, sort of thing. But yeah, well, I've got my bit of wick here. It's a bit of 2mm wick that I've got, and I've got a bit of. This is 32 gauge in the middle here, and then on the sides we've got some non-resistance wire that I've actually twisted together. Guys, just please bear in mind if you are looking to get into this, we thought twisting would be quite easy.
Don't bring me into this. I knew it was going to be a pain in the arse.
I assumed it was going to be quite easy. I mean, to be honest, with the 32 gauge, it's not too bad. When you go into like the low resistance wires, which we do tend to use a lot, it causes some problems. It's not like it doesn't happen. It takes a little bit more time. You just got to take your time with it. So it is like a 10-minute just trying to get the wire together.
£4 dripper plus £45 for a zapper.
Basically, but. If you are getting into this, you may want to look into prices of zappers and stuff, but
eventually, depends on how much you really like it.
But basically, I'm just lining up where I'm going to put my coil. So I'm wicking it exactly the same as I would a Baron. So about there-ish is where I'm going to put my coil.
There-ish.
There-ish.
It's quote of the day. Obviously, guys, when using res, no res, you can just about see the joint, can't you?
Yeah, it's like just like a little thicker bit there. You can just see it. Just grab the no res twisted bit with your finger and just wrap from there, basically.
Yeah, basically start at the junction where you've got the res and no res joining, and obviously wrap all of the resistance wire around that wick. The last thing you want is for the resistance wire not to be touching the wick, because that's just not going to be good.
I didn't gauge how many wraps I was going to get out of this. I just kind of cut a bit off for the video. Guesstimated. That's it.
It actually worked out quite well.
It's actually gave me 5 wraps there.
5 wraps of 32 gauge around 2 pieces of 2mm silica, so I'm going to guesstimate around 2 ohms.
It is going to be about 2, yes.
2 ohms for this, we reckon. It has come pre-installed with a 1.7 ohm head. We did use it briefly for all of about 2 seconds, but...
Oh no, the twist fell off.
Bit of live twisting, unlucky.
This is going to be a pain now.
So Worm did say, oh, we might as well show twisting and show him how difficult it is. Turns out he's going to anyway.
Going to have to now, aren't I?
I will assist if necessary. Do you want me to hold?
I need some clippers. I've got some. I'm just going to cut that crappy bit of twist off.
This also gives you a chance to do all the resistance if that's what you wanted to do, I suppose. But yeah,
I'm just losing everything now.
You've just dropped it.
Just dropped it.
On the floor there, mate. I can't see there. Yeah, no, I've got it. There you go.
Right, okay.
This is the
general
kind of crap.
fuck up.
Again though guys, this is why we tend not to cut these videos and let you see them as they are, because this kind of crap is going to happen to you. And it's as simple as that. Some manky old, what are they? Crimps, grips?
Grips, just some standard grips.
This is how we've been doing it. I know a lot of guys do it by hand, but this is how we've been doing it.
I basically grip it like that and give it like a little V, and then I'll just twist them together a little bit. Then I get another pair, and I'll try and grab the top and just give it a little twist.
These tools really aren't as dirty as they look on camera, guys, I promise you.
No, they are.
They're not, mate. Have you seen them? It looks like they've been outside for 3 years. But this is what you have to do to twist res and no res. And the coils will last you the same as they would in sort of drippers and so on and so forth. But
basically what I do here, guys, because it's a little bit long, just give it a little snip down a little bit. Ooh, that doesn't feel that great. We'll see if we can get this together. It's probably going to fall apart. But
once you've twisted them together, you then twist no res around the res no res join, just to make sure that the no res is covering all of that res. Hopefully, guys, are not losing you.
Just give that little pinch together. Just hopefully seal the deal.
This is part of the problem with twisting. It's only ever sort of going to be semi-strong, whereas if you've got a zapper, it actually welds the 2 pieces of wire together, which I do really think me and one will be looking into at some point in the near future.
I'm going to hold that dodgy connection in my hand this time, this one. And then we're going to go twist again. Get that cord in place. Hopefully it should come out a little bit tighter now. 3. Yeah.
5 turns still, but sort of 4.5.
It's 4.5 because the no res is actually at the top up here.
1.9 ohms.
Right. Let's try and get this into the cup now before it all falls apart and disintegrates on me again.
It's not the most difficult bit out of the way, is it? Because obviously once you've ripped your coil, you've got your 2 holes either side there of your airflow.
That's where you've got to get your 2 no-res wires into, which is, again...
It can be tricky if you cut them 2 different lengths to make it a bit easier for yourself.
No.
Which is always a pain. It's not as bad as it looks, but they are quite small. And if you have shaky hands a lot, like I do, then it can be a bit of a tricky to get them in there. But it's not impossible, guys. You just got to persist with it. You just got to bear with it. As with all this kind of stuff, learning curve, and you find your own knack.
They are in. They're just not wanting to push in.
Maybe grab them from the bottom and put them through.
Yeah, I just got to get enough so I can grab it.
Oh,
there we go. There's the 2 coming through.
This is literally lessons on how to mistreat your coil from Worm and Proton.
Definitely. But basically, as you go in, you want to put your wicks in place as well. Try and slip them down the slots.
Something we should point out, guys, which Worm's pointed out quite adamantly, is these channels in this ceramic. Although the ceramic's about 1 billion times the size of the one from the Baron,
They're smaller.
Channels are smaller. 2mm wick realistically is your lot. You try and get free.
Even that's pushing it in a little bit. It might be a little bit choked, but it should just about do the job.
Worst case, it's a dripping out. You can just drip straight onto the coil.
Well, that's it.
So,
there we go. I think we're in place. There we go, and that's the coil in place at the moment. Now the next bit. Pull one wire and just take it over to the side. Doesn't matter where you do it. With this bit down here, you've got to tuck into there. So you're actually connecting to the positive page. You know what, I'm going to change that because that's the side that's chipped, so I want to go with the other side. But basically what you want to do is you just want to snip off, just line that up, and make sure it's tight on the coil, yep. Line it up, don't know if you can see that. And you just want to snip just above, so you've got enough to tuck in, but not enough to stop you from tucking in, basically, because you're going to be tucking that into the hole, just so when you push it in on the positive post, it actually clamps it in place. So you want about there-ish. Don't know if you can see that well, but you can see it's literally just protruding above that, and I need a little screwdriver. Thank you very much, Mr. Proton.
Always on hand.
You literally just...
You can cut a little bit more than that to tuck in, guys, but you realistically you only want to be tucking in about 10 mil.
I've been doing this a few times, and if you do it too long, you've got to kind of bend the wire and then push it in and then tuck it in. So I just do enough so I can just push it straight over, and you're kind of hooked. It is the lightest glare. There we go. That's a little bit better. But you can see it's a little hooked over there, and this bit is going to attach to the side of your body, so you don't even need to do anything with that. But now what I generally do is get this wire, wrap it through the here, take this over that,
exactly
quite perfect, and then you get your bottom. You want to make sure one bit of your no-res is going through the slit in the outer body, and just push fit it in place, and that's not too bad. And basically what you do with these two, you just slap one over one side.
Should point out, when we got this, guys, the two bits of wick that Worm's actually now poking down the side didn't exist. What they'd done is basically had two lengths of wick and they just kind of rammed them in there. They weren't actually connected to the coil in any way, which is a wee bit strange, but it is what it is.
But you've got a little bit more space in this than you have if you're using the Baron. If you're using the Baron, you probably have to snip that bit that I've just tucked in off, because it does jam it in there.
Wicks would make your life a little bit easier as well, guys. Just for reference.
Same with the other side.
It's got a fair amount of wick in there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got loads of space down this bottom. And then just double that one back, I think. There we go.
Now, test writing coils isn't really an option.
Because you have to have the body on the top of this.
You might be able to see it. Should we do it? Well, let's tuck it into a resistance check anyway.
I'm just going to hold it in place and just see if we can get...
Should point out, guys, whilst doing this little bit that is appearing out of nowhere in my hand, the top cap, with the eBaron, a lot of people use it native as is, but they will put a drip tip in if they choose to. Unfortunately with this, it's so tight you can't actually fit a drip tip into it, so you don't have that option. It's literally a case of you use it native as is, no drip tip. But it is what it is.
As you can see there, guys, I just cut off the other nose a bit wide. I always give it a good, like, about a centimetre around the body, just so you know it's going to connect somewhere along there. But basically we're going to just tuck that in, hold it, hopefully, screw on.
That's a good thing about this, is unlike the Terminator tank from Smock, it doesn't pop out the bottom. It does actually tend to sit in there once you make that native connection, like the Baron does, which is a thumbs up for such a cheap little atty.
Let's get this on and just see if we can check resistance.
1.77.
1.7.
That's not too bad.
No, we're just going to give it a quick little fire and then just test it again, because sometimes, because I didn't pre-flame this, it might change slightly, but no, it hasn't. But
can you see it firing?
See if you can see. Yeah, you should be able to see that. There we go. Look at that.
Mondo. Boom. Wicked stuff. Whilst we're in close up, I think it might be worth, if you quickly unscrew it and just show them where the 510 is. Show them the Baron as well quickly. The idea of the Baron is that, if, I don't know if you can see that, guys, maybe pull back a little bit, mate. There you go. You can see the air channels on the Baron. There's no air channels carved into the bottom of this JUK,
which is,
so it does sit on the Bavaria and actually looks quite good.
Those slits there, guys, there's obviously none on that. It's a flat surface.
So it has to protrude in order to get air feed, unfortunately, because it's designed to sit like that. But if you do sit like that, you've got no air feed. So that's a little downside of it.
You have to kind of
to back it off to get air feed, which is a shame. But that is what it is for £4.40. What the bloody hell do you expect? Right, are we finished?
Yeah, I think we'll come back up now, guys, and show you this vaping.
Ba-doom.
Welcome back up, guys. That was obviously the Rewick of the eBaron clone juk23. Obviously using res and no res wire. Obviously you got to see a little bit of a twist there because one fell apart on me.
It even said we'll join a wire beforehand to make it a bit easier, and obviously didn't work.
It only took 2 seconds to twist together and that, but it just shows you that it's not like a 2-second job. It's more like a minute job if you get it done first time. If it can go wrong, like we said with the higher res, lower res wires, but the thicker wires. They're not as flexible as like the 32 gauge that I was using there, and I think it was 31 gauge non-resistance wire we were using.
No, it's 32 gauge. It's 0.2, yeah, we're using 0.2 non-resistance and 0.2 Canthol, so they're matching.
Basically the same, so but they're obviously very, very flexible, and we've used them a lot, so we know how to get around with them. But with the 30 gauge, it takes a lot more to get that rigidity out of the wire, so it's a little bit harder to twist and therefore get you in your low res coils with the non-resistance wire in that. So
it does help if you flame it beforehand, but it's not as flexible as 32 gauge, is it? I mean, the nickel, because we are using nickel and not silver, the nickel is really lovely and soft, and you get the resistance wire kind of, it does bite and it wants to kind of doing on you and stuff like that, but you just have to twist tight and wrap over and hope all goes well, unless you've got a zapper, which I imagine we will have at some point fairly soon.
Yeah, probably the next couple of months or so. Yeah. Yeah, we haven't even primed the coil. We literally just come back up. What should we put in it?
Let's put
Dan's vanilla custard.
Dan's vanilla custard. This is DVC. Yeah, this is a creation of mine. Blatant rub off of Grant's vanilla custard, but it's Dan's.
But he's got his own tweak to it, which I'm not going to tell you what, because it's a secret ingredient.
There's a couple of secret ingredients, to be honest with you, but with priming this, guys, it's exactly the same as priming anything. But I'd imagine, because of the amount of wick that the...
Saying that, you're going to need to get eBaron Roy's device. It's 1.7, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll try it on a mechanical and see how we go. As I have no idea what I was saying, sorry, because the worm managed to squeeze quite a bit of wick down there, I've just dropped about... Well, I primed it semi-generously and dropped like 10. Definitely flooded. But we have noticed with this, when we did vape it briefly, that it...
Don't flush my
air holes! That it will do the sort of Baron gurgle and actually clear quite quickly like the Baron does. We haven't actually used this with the ceramic in it that came with it, sorry. We've been using the Baron ceramic, so it'll be interesting. We have got noise. But yeah, I've got this on K100. Just I think, to be honest, it looks better on this than it does on Bavaria at the minute, just because you can flush mount this and whatever else. But I'm going to prime it, have a little puff. I'm sure Worm's going to have a flap review about some stuff and things.
I don't know what stuff and things, but yeah, it's very nice, this JUX thing. It does look pretty good on a lot of other devices, whereas the obviously the Baron only fits on the Bavaria. But this you can get in a multiple of colours as well. There's black, blue, red, gold, and I think there's pink. Pink or purple.
There's a silver, but unfortunately it's not the same silver that's there. It's an aluminium, because basically your covers Ali, your bottom's gold, chrome plated brass. So
yeah, I mean it was just kind of weird to get your hands on this, and you think like, oh, it looks basically the Baron, but then it's like bigger again. It's basically like kind of the Zeus to the A7. It's just a couple of mil bigger on everything, so it just allows you to have more juice in there. Having a good blow. But yeah, but also this that going off topic a little bit. The Dan's vanilla custard was, he basically got bored of all the juices that he had, which were mediocre at best, and he kind of ripped off Grant's vanilla custard. He knows the recipe a little bit, but
no, I'm not telling you.
I know what it is.
Not you.
But yeah, we tried it with the original coil. It was rubbish. We tried it with an eBaron cup. It was all right. It wasn't fantastic. It was kind of sitting on about DDA level.
I don't know exactly what Grant's in the custom recipe is, just in case you do jump in. I have very sneaky suspicions, but
alright, okay, exactly. But
Grant, I'm not ripping you off, I swear.
the eBaron ceramic cup that we used in his fake eBaron, the JUK, it was good. It was only DDA good though. It wasn't amazing by any stretch. It was just like an average DDA coil which just worked basically, and it was nice. It was just alright. It just wasn't what we was hoping for. How is that working on that with 1.7?
Seems to be going fine.
Yeah,
yeah, have a go. Have a go if you like. Yeah, it is 1.7 on mechanical, so it's higher than I'd usually run it, but that seems to be fine, to be honest with you. The flavour I think could do with a little bit of a power kick, but whatever, if you want to stick it on a variable voltage, you're more than welcome to do so.
Vapour coming off it, beautiful.
Yeah, I think the vapour coming off it's beautiful. The vapour of it's actually quite, sorry guys, it's quite warm. It's not stupidly hot, but I'd imagine with some serious rake vaping it's going to get quite warm. If you do decide to use all res and no res wire, I'd imagine the same as the Baron, it's going to get quite hot quite quickly. That is just what it is. Being alley light will disperse it, won't hold that heat quite as long, so that's kind of a good point. Couple of bad points about it. One, the fact it's a clone is always a bad point. It just is. Another one, the fact it won't take a bloody 510 trip tip. Why would they not make it fractionally bigger? I mean, it is ever so slightly off, but everyone I've tried and it won't fit. Some guys won't be bothered about it. For me personally, I actually find that more comfortable to use native than I do the Baron. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because it is slightly thinner. I descend behind the mist, but it's another sort of down point on it. The build quality actually isn't bad. The centre pin looks adjustable. Don't believe it is because we have tried to just unscrew the body.
Yeah, just to get the more airflow in there.
Alright. The centre pin I don't believe is adjustable. I've tried it, it won't have it, so I'm going to say it's not adjustable. Yeah, the draw on it's actually not too bad at all. It's kind of similar to a Zeus and A7 draw. If anything else, that's fractionally looser compared to the actual Baron itself. They're not overly dissimilar.
No, they're about the same draw on it, to be honest.
One more downside is no air channels cutting to the bottom for flush mounting, but for £4.40 I wasn't expecting miracles, to be honest. We're just happy that it works.
That's a bit more. I've went around up to about 4.4 volts on a 1.79 coil, and that is bringing that flavour through very, very nice actually. It's actually quite tasty. Could be nicking some of that, I think. But
should we do a 5-point hit list and we'll go into a little flap after? That's usually the way we do it.
Yeah, looks on this thing.
On the SVD it looks pony.
Yeah, I've just taken the top cap off the SVD just so it allows a bit more air channel flow, because I've got to draw up the holes in the air on this thing yet. But the flavour on this thing is...
We're on looks.
Oh yeah. Gone all over the place.
He has no idea what he's doing.
Looks.
Usually it's me.
Looks. I don't. I'm sorry, but the Baron is my baby, and it's not as good looking as that. It just isn't. It's all right because it's got a bit of colour on it. So it's about an 8.
Looks for me. I mean, on something like that, I think that actually looks pretty good because it blends.
Yeah.
And you have got the advantage you can pick your colours and it will blend. We should point out the width of this is slightly more than the Baron. It's very slight. So it does actually overhang the Bavaria slightly, but we're talking sort of half a mil either side at most.
All the way around, yeah.
Looks for me. On the right device, I'm going to give it a 9. On just in general, because I think this is one of them devices, or ATEs, sorry, that you can only use on certain devices if you like things to blend well. In general, I'm going to give it a 7. I think that's quite fair. It's not bad looking device.
Well, mine's an 8, so it's an average of your 2. So, usability. Well, as far as we know, you can't buy coils for this. You have got to wrap your own coils, which means you can use just res wire. You can, but your body is going to seriously overheat on this thing. It's gonna blow to fucking temperatures where you can't even unscrew it. You're gonna have to put it down for 5 minutes to let it cool down. So if you use just resistance wire, yeah, it's a little bit of a pain in the arse. But if you're using non-resistance wire, again, that's its own right a pain in the arse if you haven't got a zapper. So usability, because you can't buy your coils for it, you have got to re-rig this. It's quite low. It's about 6, maybe a 7, depending on if you've got a zapper or not.
Usability for me, I kind of see where you're coming from. I'm going to disagree with you because any dripper you buy, you expect to wrap your own coils.
Yeah.
Yes, it takes a hit because you've got to use resin non-res, but not because you can't buy pre-whip coils. In my opinion, I know it's ripping off the Baron, and the Baron you can buy very, very good quality pre-whip coils, and I that's why I see where you're coming from. But looking at it as a dripper as opposed to looking at it as a Baron, I don't think it's as big a hit having to wrap
if it's just
coils.
a dripper in standard, then it's probably
because the Baron's his baby.
about an 8.5 to a 9, because it is just basically drip it on and you're good to go. As long as you've rewicked a nice little coil in there. But compared to what it's knocking off, it is low.
To be honest with you, I'm not looking. I know it is designed as a Baron clone. It's sold, but I'm not looking at it as a clone of the Baron.
Saying that, we did put the Baron
cup in it.
So you probably could buy the Baron
head. Someone's heads, I suppose. Yeah, you could do that if you really wanted to. I'm not looking at this. I know it's a Baron clone, but to me, I'm judging this as a dripper, because it's. There's no point trying to clone a Baron. There is no point. It's 40 quid, and I think, to be honest with you, to get a Baron clone that's worth comparing to the Baron, you're looking at 20 quid top plus. Sorry. So I know it's a Baron clone, but I passed the clone thing. It's just a dripper as far as I'm concerned. And for that, I'm going to give it an 8 for usability. It is a bit of a bitch with the res no res, but no more than anything else that uses res no res. So just take that into account. If you've never done it before, it might be a good place to try it, because most of the res no res, it's not even usually drippers, is it? Apart from the Baron and the Spiral are 40 quid, but other than that, you're talking quite high end devices. So at least you can try it for like 4 quid.
Yeah, I mean, you do get a slightly better vapour for the no resin though, because obviously you've got no heat coming from anywhere except from around the coil. Your drippers and that do tend to stay a little bit cooler, but the coils seem to stay really hot because the current has got no resistance into the actual coil. It heats up really, really quickly, so it's like instant vape sort of thing. You don't have to wait that. I know it's only like half a second to a second, but you notice a difference when you use it on a day-to-day basis. So
it's probably why I'm not minding this on a mechanical, because as Worm said, the heat goes straight to the coil. There's nothing to go in between. If this was in a Zutron A7, it'd be taking too long for me. I'd have to run the bolts up. I'd have no choice.
Yeah.
But because bang, it's on. It's quite a nice heat delivery. It is. Maintenance.
Maintenance, again, is the maintaining it is cleaning and recoiling. Cleaning on this thing, you're looking at 3 parts: top, the bottom, and the ceramic cup. That is it. They're going to be a piece of piss to rewick. And on this thing, the cup is so big it won't even fall down your sinkhole, so you're pretty good there. But again, the maintenance on the recoiling, if you've got a zapper, it's still like a 9, because it's just basically zapping together and recoil it. So it's just depending on how good you are at rewicking, basically. If you're using the twist method that we are at the moment, it's only about an 8, because I think when you first start twisting your non-resistance and your resistance, you're looking at about 5, because the first couple of times it's going to be it's not going to go right exactly. You're going to find your own method, basically, and it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve, which all rebuildables are. They all have their own individual learning curve. So when you first get this, about 5. When you get used to twisting your wires and that, you're looking at about 7 to 8, depending on how good you get at it, and then 9, 10 if you've got a zapper, because it's just basically zap, zap, coil, bang, in it goes. The only other bit you got is the non-resistance wire into the ceramic cup. A little bit of a pain in the arse, but it's not going to take you 9 years. It's going to take you about 20 seconds just to line them up and get them in the holes, and that's it. You're done.
Indeed. Maintenance for me as well, so it's 3 parts. You literally, I mean, to be honest with you, you could literally just tuck the whole thing in water. It's that simple, because all the parts are accessible by air, so they're accessible by water. But I'd pull the coil out, take it apart, and chuck it into some warm water, give it a rinse. Whilst we're on the ceramic cup, I don't know whether it came to us dodgy or whether it was us misusing it, or not misusing it, but pulling it out and we didn't notice it. But either way, it's a little thumbs down for the chip in the ceramic cup, and the narrow wick holes as well in that ceramic. With that kind of ceramic size, I'd expect some. It would be nice to have some 3
mil holes in there, sort of thing.
But that is what it is. But for maintenance in general, it's my overall mark for it is going to be a 7. It's as simple as that. But I want to point out that is on a kind of general consensus. If you're used to doing this kind of thing, then it's going to be sort of a 10. If you're not used to any rebuilding at all, it's going to be one to still well clear of to start with anyway.
Yeah.
It's no more difficult in terms of maintenance than maintaining a Baron, or a diver, or anything that kind of build. It's no more difficult than any of those. So I don't think really. I think they've hit the nail on the head with that part, at least.
Yeah, it is. It is just a little bit tricky. Just be aware before you go and buy this, going, oh yeah, I'll just wrap this with all resistance wire, and it will work, but be aware of hot body.
Something I'm aware of on a day-to-day basis.
Okay. Well, what do we do? We do
Flavour and vapour.
Flavour and vapour on this thing. It is, now we've got this coil in it, it's actually working really well. I mean, when I put it on the SVD, you put it up to like 4.4 volts. Flavour of it was banging. It really was. It was Zeus flavour. It really was. It was that good. The amount of vapour as well, when you've knocked it up, same as the Zeus. It really was. It wasn't. I mean, don't get me wrong. The Zeus is on the heels of the Baron, but it's not quite the Baron. But for a £4 compared to 40 quid clone, hitting the same as a Zeus, which is just behind the Baron. I mean, literally just. It's a 10. It's got to be. The flavour and vapour of this thing is a 10, as long as you get your coil right and the volts to your coil and the right set of the right amount, it's going to be a 10.
The flavour and vapour for me, as well said, it's A7 Zeus level vape. This really is an A7 Zeus level vape, which is very surprising.
Especially the last two cores we put in there, isn't it?
We'd hoped it was going to be, obviously, but then we never expect it to be. We have expectations, and we expected this at best to be sort of DDA standard, really. But it's a Zeus level vape, and we give the Zeus and an A7 10s because that's what they are. They are 10s for vape and flavour. And the only thing that we know of so far that we've tried realistically that's better than them for just flavour and vapour is the Baron. And again, it's on the hills, and the only reason we gave the Zeus and A710 is because realistically they're not in the same category. No. I mean, they're both drippers and whatever else, but they're completely different builds, they're completely different setups, and there is a bit in between the Zeus and the Baron. The Baron is 4 times the price, so it's kind of worth taking into account. The fact that this is £4.40 is ridiculous. That you can get this, in our opinion anyway, this level of vape for such little money. Don't
get me wrong, we did have to work a little bit harder to get it in this, but you're paying £4. If you have to rewick 3 cores, I mean, if you're rewicking, 3 cores is equivalent to about 40p.
But for the same rewick of a Baron and getting the performance of a Zeus for £4, I think it's worth it.
Yeah, definitely.
I definitely think it's worth it.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Overall?
I know I gave some pretty poor marks earlier on, but overall, it's still about a 9.5.
You've got to factor in price of overall, you've got to.
It's just, it is just a 9.5. I mean, it's not as well built as anything else that we've got, like the Zeus or anything, or even close to the Baron, but take build quality out of it, and it vapes just as well as the Zeus is in that, and on the heels of the Baron, and it's just, you can't fault it for what it does once you get it working right. So it's a 9.5, it really is. The only reason it's losing that 0.5 is because it is
a clone,
and it is not very well built.
I wouldn't say it's badly built.
No, it's just the materials. If they would have used better materials, then fine, it would have been alright. But
the threads are slightly crunchy, but then all chromed in brass threads tend to be slightly crunchy, even on mods and stuff. I'd say the build. I've held worse built devices that have cost a lot more than this, put it that way. But overall, for me, I mean, we'll shout out a few of the thumbs down. I'll do a couple sort of good points about it. Is one, the price. The price is astronomical for what you're getting, and I don't think that you can argue with that. You really can't. Again, it's a clone, whatever else. Let's leave that up to you, what you want to do. The build wasn't any more difficult than the Baron, and you are definitely reaping.
To be honest, you've got a bit more space in the cup in that one, so
yeah. I mean, you can. I mean, that's a good point as well. You can get quite a bit of wick in here. I mean, I've dropped like 15, 20 drops into this to start, which is basically a mil of e-liquid in a dripper. That's a crazy amount of juice. I mean, obviously, a lot of that is down to the amount of wick that's in there, soaking that up. If there wasn't as much wick, you'd have a port at the bottom, you'd have gurgling and whatever else. But for this setup, that's a lot of juice to go into this. It looks good. It's built. I think build quality, you're getting more build quality than what you're paying for.
Yeah.
I think we'll call it that. It's not a Baron, it's not a Zeus, but then you're not paying what you pay for those devices. You're getting better quality than what you're paying for sure. I'm gonna agree with 9.5. It can only be a high mark for this.
Yeah.
It performs. It's no more difficult to set up than the thing it's cloning. On certain things, it will look better than the Baron because the Baron's very one-tracked. It is for a Bavaria. Now, I mean, don't get me wrong, Worms used it on the 19, you've used it on quite a few things, but again, it's like using this on an Ego. I suppose saying that would blend quite well with an Ego if you had a plinth.
If you had a plinth, yeah.
So
the plinth has got the air cuts out for, so you don't need to worry about that.
It's versatile. It's a good device. It is a good A.
For £4.20 or whatever it is.
£4.40.
We are seriously recommending this one if you are used to using res and no res wire. If you want to have a play with it with just res wire, for £4.40 you can't really go wrong. You're not going to hate it by any means, but
it won't perform quite as well. But even when you rewick the Baron with just res wire, it still performed pretty much like the Baron does, just very, very hot. So it might be worth just trying if you want to, and then when you get your no res wire, you can move on to it. It's worth a shout anyway for £4.40. It's a very, very good dripper. We've had a little flap about Fastech in the KTS video. I don't think we need to really do that again.
Just go over to Fastech, have a little look around. They do lots of little bits and bobs.
Free delivery as well. I mean, I know that we did have a bitch about Fastech. It wasn't a major bitch, nothing compared to what
when
I
you go through to checking out, it says like your delivery. There's a little drop down box. Just pay the extra £1.
It's an extra $1. It's not even a pound.
No, it's $1. There
pay the extra $1. Shipping times and whatever else, but it is free. Shipping times can take. Typically, I've found from everyone on Facebook between 1 and 2.5 weeks, but expect to wait up to a month and a bit, or as little as a week.
Yeah.
It is what it is, but again, our philosophy on Fastech is if you want something now, then you pay for it now. You don't pay £4 and then moan it's taking a week.
Yeah.
There you go. It's as simple as that. I think we're pretty much done this one, guys. This is our kind of view on this. And again, the whole clone thing, I don't look at it as a Baron clone. It's never going to be.
It's just a dripper.
It's just a.
It's a non-res tool.
Should we call it a style-like dripper as opposed to an actual clone? Because it's not even close. Just it's not, but it does vape really well. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I've been Mr. Proton. This has been The Worm.
Catch you soon.